Welcome to Just a Minute. Thank you. Hello, my name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this special edition of Just a Minute from BBC Television Centre. Every day I will be joined by 4 fantastic guests to play this amazing game, the rules of which take just a minute to learn, but years to master. And the players will try to speak for just a minute on a subject that I give them, and they must try and do that without hesitation, repetition, or deviation. And by the way, they can repeat the subject on the card. So without further ado, please welcome the 4 wonderful, talented performers who this week are going to play Just a Minute. And they are seated on my right, Paul Merton and Julian Clary. And seated on my left, Russell Tovey and Stephen Fry. Please welcome all 4 of them. And we're going to begin the show with Stephen. We'd like you to start off this time. And the subject is, tongue twisters. Tell us something about that in this game, starting now.
Well, one of my favourite tongue twisters is actually French. In the Gallic language, if you say Dido, as in Queen of Carthage, dined, they say, off the back of an enormous turkey, it's rendered as Dido, Dina, Diton, du, du, Denton, which is not bad. The seething sea ceaseth, and thus sufficeth us. It's quite a tough one to say. I, as a child...
Julian's challenged.
Was it? Was it repetition of 1?
Yes, you did say 1 before.
Did I?
Yeah, but I don't know why you didn't challenge him with that da-da-da-da-da-da.
And that
there was
well.
no repetition at all in that. All different words. Dino, Dido, Dina, Diton, du, do, dinton. They're all different words.
And that's also the theme tune to the Archers.
Julian, a correct challenge. So you get a point for that. You have 39 seconds still available. Tongue twisters are starting now.
I won't be doing any French tongue twisters. How about this one? Peter Piper picked a pack of peanuts.
Oh, sorry.
Stephen challenge.
I thought he was going to say the proper one, and I thought he'd missaid peck. He wrong-footed me rather brilliantly there.
No. Incorrect challenge, Stephen. Yeah. So, Julian, you have another point. You have 32 seconds starting now.
Tongue twisters are very useful, I believe, if you go to drama school. It teaches you how to enunciate properly, which will be a boon when you take to the stage as part of your professional career or in films. You don't want to be tripping over your words and not being able to talk like a proper professional member of your profession would. It would be no good. You wouldn't get any work and your agent would phone you up and say, I'm sorry.
Stephen,
there were actually 5 woods there, which I think is too many.
All right, yes, we let 1 go, but no, there were 4 or 5 there.
Well, 1's all right.
Yeah.
2 is repetition.
Stephen, a correct challenge. And you've got in cleverly with only 7 seconds to go on tongue twisters starting now.
As a child, I spoke far too quickly and had to have elocution lessons in order to slow me down because nobody understood a word I said. Thus, tongue twisters were something that I was
doing. In this game, whoever is speaking when the whistle goes gains an extra point. On this occasion, it was Stephen Fry. So at the end of the first round, he is in the lead alongside Julian Clary. And let's move on. Julian, we'd like you to begin this next round. Oh, a delightful subject. My first day at school. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
I remember my first day at school. I wandered down the corridor and I couldn't find my classroom. Eventually, a woman who turned out to be the headmistress, called Miss Kennefick, said, "Boy, what's your problem?" And don't look at me like that. And I said, well, I'm afraid I'm lost. And I was then put on a trolley and taken by wheel.
Challenge. What's your challenge?
Hesitation.
Yes, it was. He deserves to hesitate after that. On a wheel. You're taken by wheel.
I was on a trolley, and I made that. I just came from nowhere.
Right. It was correct, Paul. so you have a point. You have 36 seconds. My first day at school starting now.
Always the first day at school seems to be a day of paranoia. A strange building, unusual faces, people you don't know, and you suddenly think, I must pull myself together. I'm the deputy headmaster. And so you wander across the playground and you say to the pupils arraigned in front of you, you are a beautiful boy. What are you doing on that trolley? Take that wheel. And they do. And I notice that all the other pupils around me look up to me and they say, you are the backbone of this educational institution. You are repeating yourself.
Julian, yes.
Repetition of you.
Yes,
you. Yeah,
very much emphasised there. So, Julian...
You can't keep your eyes off me, can you? Can't keep his eyes on me. What?
You're the only heterosexual on this panel.
Is that right, Nicholas?
No.
Who's not on the panel?
That was in a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I was thrown for a minute. I didn't know whether to say yes or no.
Yeah.
You cleverly got in with 3 seconds to go.
Oh.
On my first day at school, starting now.
No one explains where the lavatory is on these occasions. And yes, it's true, there was an accident.
So Julian Clary was then speaking as a whistle when he gained that extra point. And at the end of that round, he's naturally in the lead, but only just ahead of Stephen Fry, Paul Merton and Russell in that order. Russell, I want you to start the next round. The subject is things that go bump in the night. 60 seconds as usual, and your time starts now.
Crash, bang, kapow, zing, wallop. These are all noises, but we're here to talk about things that go bang, bump. Oh, what a roll! That's me mute for the rest of the show now.
Julian, you challenge first.
Oh, well, it was a repetition of bang, but let him keep the subject.
No,
I'd rather you did.
I think they're all going to be generous and let you connect.
Oh, really?
This is
Oh,
the
thanks.
first time you've ever played the game, so lean forward because it looks as if you're more involved. And you've got 50 seconds. The things that go bump in the night, starting now.
So we're here to talk about things that go bump in the night. Have you ever woken in your bed sweating, twitching, crying for your mum? This is me every night. I roll over, I look...
Julian, you challenged.
I just want to point out, pausing is also not to be encouraged. You need to speak quite... I don't want the subject, but...
They've been very generous and they want you to continue in order to get some practice. So lean forward.
Lean forward.
And there are 38 seconds still, if you want them.
Yes, I'd love them.
Things that go bump in the night, starting now.
I find it terrifying to know what's underneath my bed. When I was a child, I really enjoyed the movie Gremlins, but I believe that they lived behind my parents' door and in their wardrobes, so I rarely went in there.
Yes, Paul.
A natural conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that pause was so long, I'll have to...
I'm sorry.
Also, could you lean forward?
Even more. Hanging off the edge.
Well, it does look as if you're more involved, Russell, that's the reason.
I mean, how can be more further forward?
No, that was a joke on Julian's part.
Oh, sorry.
That was his
Got
strange
it.
sense of humour. Paul, a
One of my
correct challenge.
catchphrases.
Oh, I see.
Another point to Paul.
What?
It's all right.
Hello.
Where
You can't
do-
keep your eyes off me, can you?
Yeah, no.
Hello.
Hello.
One at a time, please. Do you mind forming a queue?
It's that jacket, Paul. I've never seen
it?
you in
It's
such
not.
a,
It's
such
not
a
the jacket.
smart...
It's not the jacket. I think I've seen that jacket before.
Yes, I have.
The deck chair, Little Hampton, wasn't it?
I don't mind if you make jokes at my expense if they get laughs.
Yeah.
Because I've been a straight man to many comedians. I know how to take it and come back. I don't know where we were, but... Paul, I think you had the correct challenge.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are 25 seconds still available. Things that go bump in the night, starting now.
Things that go bump in the night, often essential ingredients in ghost stories. One thinks of those Victorian classics of women out on the moors in... what was I trying to say? Ensconced, I think.
You were. It didn't come out there.
Didn't come out.
Julian challenge.
Oh, hesitation.
Yes. So you've got the subject of things that go bump in the night, 15 seconds, starting now.
I live in a very old house in the country, a farmhouse, and there are all kinds of things that
Stephen
Well, it's
Chance.
a sort of moot point, really, is it? Whether a house and a farmhouse is house repeated or not.
Anybody in the audience know? I think
It is one word. Farmhouse.
One farmhouse would be one word.
farmers was that was the incorrect challenge.
Yeah, I think it was.
So, Julian, you have another point. You have 11 seconds. Things that go bump in the night, starting now.
I heard this scratching under my bed. It turns out it was a badger going bump. I said, what's your business here under my boudoir? And it happened to be... Well, it's very distracting.
What?
You doing all this. While I'm trying to speak.
Would you prefer me to wait in the van?
So, what's the challenge, Paul?
Hesitation.
And-
Gross hesitation, in fact.
Yes.
Gross hesitation.
Well, the thing is, Paul, I'm rather reluctant to give it to you because there's only half a second to go. So I think, to be fair to Julian, as you were putting him off slightly, I give him the benefit of the doubt.
What, by putting my hand on my hip?
Yes.
And that put you off?
I know your game.
I haven't come here to be insulted.
Shall we carry on?
Yes. You've only got half a second. You start now.
Things that go...
Paul, challenge.
Hesitation.
Yes, right. So it's only fair that you both get a point. Julian, you got one just then. Paul, I'm going to give him one now, so that evens it out. You've both got benefits of the doubt, and you've got a quarter of a second to go, Paul. Things that go bump in the night, starting now.
Bump.
Yes, So at the end of that round, the situation is that Julian Clary is now out in the lead. He's 3 points ahead of Paul Merton, then it's Stephen Fry, and then Russell Tovey in that order. And, Paul, we'd like you to begin the next round. A bad hair day. Will you tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now?
I went to Wimbledon Greyhound track the other week and they said, unfortunately, the meeting has been cancelled. I said, why? Well, we have a bad hair day. The automatic hair... What are you groaning at? You weren't there. The automatic hair will not come. I've said automatic hair
Stephen
3 times now.
Repetition of automatic.
Yes, right. Correct challenge. You have 49 seconds. Tell us something about a bad hair day, starting now.
Almost every day is a bad hair day for me. I have hair that just sort of spreads out and can't lie down properly. It needs a great deal of attention. No matter how I have it cut, it seems to be peculiar in the way it behaves. If I do a documentary series, for example, you travel around the world and it's sort of edited together in different ways. So I go from a crew cut to a great, massive James May look to some other hideous appearance. I really do dislike the way my hair behaves. There's nothing I can do about it, really. I suppose I could shave it off. That used to be a fashion. I call that a bad baldness day. That's just not acceptable. So I have to live with it. It's some of the worst things that can...
Right. Julian challenge.
Oh, hesitation.
Yes, I think it was a hesitation. Julian, you've got in on a bad hair day with 9 seconds to go, starting now.
I had a bad hair day in 1989. It just wouldn't sit right. Well, I cried for a week, but since then, bad hair days have been a stranger to me, unlike some people that I could mention of the heterosexual.
So, Julian, Clary was then speaking as a whistle went, gained that extra point, and you have increased your lead at the end of that round, Julian. Stephen, we'd like you to begin the next round. Great inventions. Tell us something about that subject in this game. 60 seconds, starting now.
Well, perhaps the greatest invention of my lifetime took place in the late 80s and early 90s at the Centre Européen de Recherche Nucléaire, or CERN, in Switzerland, where a young British computer scientist called Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. His original name for it was the Information Mine, but being a modest fellow, he realised those initials spelled out his actual name. That has been hugely influential twice done.
Paul, you challenged first.
It was hugely.
Yes, hugely. Yes, Paul, tell us something about great inventions. 36 seconds available, starting now.
So many great inventions seem to have occurred in the last 100 years or so. If we look at the invention of cinema, which itself sprang from the techniques of the magic lantern shows, we can see...
Stephen
There
John.
really is no such word as lantern.
Oh, I'm sorry, was the 19th century pronunciation putting you off? Is that putting you off? I've been too erudite.
Wonderful attempt to get out of it, but it was. Magic lantern should have been, yes.
Indeed.
Stephen, you've got in with another correct challenge, and there are 27 seconds. Great invention starting now.
Well, without wishing to seem sycophantic, to be perfectly honest, Ian Messiter, 45 years ago, invented a game called Just a Minute, which has entertained the nation for all that time. And not one episode has not been presented by this man here.
Oh, Julian, you challenge.
Repetition of not.
I know, but I'd like him to finish.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yes, every single show. And I did the pilot and I'm still doing it.
How many episodes is it?
850.
Yeah. Good Lord, round of applause.
Yeah.
And do you think you're getting the hang of it?
Slowly, Paul.
I think you are. I really think you're improving.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you've got it now.
So, Julian, your challenge there was, just remind me what your challenge...
Repetition of not.
Yes, unfortunately, you're not.
Double negative.
A tough challenge, but it's
Yeah, he's a
correct.
tough man. He's a tough man.
Julian, you have...
Talk about me as if I'm not in the room.
Julian, great inventions. 7 seconds starting now.
The telephone is a fantastic invention. I speak to my mother every day at least once, and she informs me of her...
So Julian Clary was then speaking as a whistle weighing, gain that extra point. And Julian, it's your turn to begin. Around the campfire. ...60 seconds as usual, starting now.
I sit around the campfire, generally waiting for my billy to boil, and you would be surprised how quickly this occurs. There's this hissing sound, and I think, here comes Daddy. And while I'm around the campfire...
Paul challenge.
Well, it's just nonsense, isn't it? Here comes Daddy. Hesitation.
Yes, no.
There was a hesitation,
There was.
yes. You have around the campfire, 45 seconds, starting now.
I remember going camping. I was about 9 years old with the Catholic Church. They'd organised it, and so I went along with some fellow pupils roughly my age. And there was a campfire, and the tents were placed all around this magnificent burning fiery furnace. And we would soak up the heat and also look to our fellow candidates in the world.
Stephen
He's a
challenge.
fellow before, actually.
Oh, did I?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yes, I think I
All
did.
these fellows, yes, right, you did. And Stephen, you listened well, you got in there. 24 seconds are still available. Around the campfire, starting now.
I was never a cub or a scout. That didn't ever appeal to me, I have to admit.
Julian challenge.
It was an involuntary spasm. But can you lean forward?
I didn't want to block the view. I felt like I was...
No, I was thinking ever and never, and I was...
No, it was a mistake. Stephen, you have another point. You have 20 seconds. Subject, around the campfire, starting now.
There's a great comic scene in Mel Brooks's film Blazing Saddles where the cowboys are all around the campfire eating beans, and then slowly, one after the other, they lift their thighs and an explosion of wind occurs which lasts about 20 seconds, it seems. It was at a time. It was amazing. It was a really shocking thing.
Julian challenge.
D-time, he said.
Did I?
D-time.
No.
At the time.
Some sort of spiritual.
I understand. No. Julian, I think that's a little bit banana. Oh, you've only got 3 seconds left, and your time starts now.
It's where humanity began to tell stories and explain the way the universe worked.
So Stephen Fry was then speaking as a whistle weighing, gained that extra point. And he's moved forward. He's now in second place. Julian Clary is still in the lead. He's 2 or 3 points ahead of Stephen. Then Paul Merton, one behind. Russell's trailing just a little. Stephen, it's your turn to begin. The subject is The Portrait in My Attic. 60 seconds starting now.
I think it's supposed to be a reference to a picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, though, in fact, in that novel, the picture is...
Russell's challenged.
Yeah, hesitation.
Whether it's correct or not, I think this audience thinks it's
Definitely.
They're with me.
Russell,
Thank you very much.
you have the subject of The Portrait in My Attic. 52 seconds starting now.
There are various portraits in my attic. Lots of my dead relatives have been painted over the years and put in gilt frames and hung on walls.
Paul
Your
challenged.
dead relatives have been painted and hung in frames. What sort of bizarre satanic ritual is this? A portrait is one thing, but hanging your dead...
No, we loved your interruption.
Yeah.
And we get a bonus point for that. But Russell was interrupted. You're keeping going on the subject quite well. So we...
Thanks.
Say the subject is still the portrait in my attic. 45 seconds starting now.
So, looking at the timeline of members past, they were immortalised by artists, famous or not, of the day. They were great works on the wall.
Paul
Who did that?
challenge.
Well, there was a bit of a...
There were a bit
of a gap.
So, Paul, correct challenge. The portrait in my attic. 35 seconds starting now.
The portrait of my attic, as Stephen remarks, is referring to the picture of Dorian Gray.
Stephen.
No, I was referring to the opposite. It is a mistake to believe there was a picture in the attic.
Oh.
It was actually in the schoolroom that he kept his
was
portrait,
it?
not in the attic.
Oh.
You have to read the book to discover that. It's actually kept in the schoolroom.
So why has the attic come about?
It's just one of those things. People didn't read the book clearly. They know it's in an upper room. And these days, people don't have schoolrooms. Some people don't have schoolrooms upstairs in their house.
Yes.
Because they've...
Some of them got turned into comprehensives.
Exactly. We live in a different time. Autre temps, autre mœurs. But in a picture of Dorian Gray, it's a schoolroom, not an
interesting.
attic.
I mean, we all refer to it as the portrait.
You
in
do,
the
but
attic.
you're wrong to. That's the point. It's deviated.
I think we should move on now.
Yeah. It's getting a little bogged down, I grant
No, I love it when we have these little frisons between us all. Yes.
Absolutely.
But Stephen, they've been said that you can definitely have it.
Yes.
And there are 31 seconds, the portrait in my attic, starting now.
So it is commonly meant to be... commonly, Coventry, Montgomery. This is the way we talk.
You're wriggling very well, but it's not right. No, what's your challenge?
Deviation, he said commonly.
Commonly,
Unless
yes,
it's
right.
some word from Oxford we don't know about.
So, correct challenge, Julian.
Did you say Uxbridge?
That's where I went.
All right.
29 seconds, the portrait in my attic, Julian, starting now.
The portrait in my attic is by Damien Hirst, and I wasn't best pleased when I looked at it the other day and it was covered in spots. So I phoned up the artist and said, what's all this about? Apparently, it's his technique, it's his...
Paul's line.
A repetition of It's His.
Followed by Paul's line.
Funny thing is, if anyone in this room knows about Damien Hirst's technique, it's Russell Tovey, who owns quite a few of them, don't you? You're a big collector.
Not of Damien Hirst, but I'd collect art. Yeah, I wish
he
I
does.
did have a Damien Hirst.
You don't have a Damien Hirst?
No, I wish I got in there. Have you?
Would you two mind if we got on with the
Sorry.
show?
I've got a Damien Hirst, which I've hung above the mantelpiece. It's actually him. Painted him up and everything.
Paul, you had a...
Person's clapping. Don't do that on your own. Somebody will throw you a fish. Don't do it on your own. They're all coming out tonight, aren't they? You still here?
Paul,
Yeah, oh yes, go on then.
you've got a correct challenge.
Yes.
And you have 18 seconds, the portrait in my attic, starting now.
The portrait in my attic is a chalk drawing of myself when I was 8 years old, as I looked when I attended Butlin's holiday camp in Clacton. I remember the artist now. He sat me down on the chair, he looked me in the eye and said, this will be a challenge. To capture such intense beauty is almost beyond my skills, but I... None of that is true.
Oh, Paul Merton was then speaking as a whistle when gained that extra point for doing so. And the situation is he has moved...
We having a séance?
No, I always think the little ice cream van's going to come by then. And the same bell we used to have when we were young, and the ice cream van. Did you ever have that? Came along.
When the all clear sounded. Ding, ding, ding.
It means that we've only time for one more round.
No, we're not having a séance.
No.
Oh.
No sounds. And whose turn is it to begin? Oh, it's Julian. And you're out in the lead, and here's the subject. Keep going, and you'll stay there. You're only 1 point ahead as we go into the final round. Julian is 1 point ahead of Paul Merton, and he's 3 points ahead of Stephen. And Russell's have a job to catch up in this last round. But not to worry, Russell. Your contribution is what matters.
Yes.
Not the points. Right. And Julian, the subject is Marie Antoinette. What a glorious historical subject. 60 seconds starting now.
Marie Antoinette, of course, had a very fortunate life up to a point, and that was when she was beheaded for offering people cake. Well, I can quite understand.
Russell challenged.
Hesitation? Kind of.
Kind of.
I'm just desperate to get in as well. So
We're desperate to hear from you. So you've got 50 seconds if you
I've got
want
to
it.
talk about that.
Marie Antoinette starting now.
Marie Antoinette was one of the most famous people to have her head cut off alongside Anne Boleyn and Charles I. This happened because up to a point, as my right honourable gentleman was saying earlier, she was liked and then disliked by the French people because she was Austrian and they didn't like them. They were an enemy.
Stephen
Well,
Jones.
too many likes, really. There were quite a lot of likes. I'm sorry.
Like-
Oh, I didn't mean
No,
to
I
do
know,
that. I feel like a bully now. I feel
All
like
right.
a mean
I'll sit back
cruel.
and just...
No.
Lean
I'll
forward.
make a deliberate mistake.
Even if you don't say much, you might as well be in the programme.
Stephen is a correct challenge, so we give you the point, and it's Marie Antoinette, the subject, and 29 seconds starting now.
Indeed, she was Austrian. The French called her when they started to dislike her, as you said, l'Autrichienne, which meant ostrich bitch in French, which was a very nasty insult because she was not popular.
Paul
There's
Challenge.
a repetition of French.
There was.
Yes,
French
it was
twice.
French,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
she was French.
And a swear word.
And a swear word, right. But a French one. So it'll only be letters from French people.
Well, you could have said French letters, but you didn't say that, so that was good. That joke was not explored. Well done.
Paul, you have 18 seconds. Tell us something about Marie Antoinette, starting now.
Marie Antoinette is the name of my cat. She's a beautiful creature, half Persian and 50%...
Julian Challenge.
No.
Oh, well, that's good enough for me. What do you mean, no?
Well, I thought you were going to say half again, as you nearly did.
You were anticipating, in other words.
Exactly.
Half Persian, and he didn't say
Yes,
half.
and I hate myself for it.
Why?
Because he didn't say half
Well, you
again.
only hate yourself because you're giving Paul another point.
That's why he hates himself.
Oh, no, now you're going to win.
No one. God, that's the last thing that should happen.
No, Julian, it was an incorrect challenge. So, Paul, you have another point, and you have 13 seconds. Marie Antoinette starting now.
The litter tray is placed by the back door. Her expectant eyes look up at me and I say, yes, it's time to play. And so we pull back the curtains. She looks down the end of the garden and her rather haughty nose and says to me...
So, Paul Merton, speaking as it is arranged, gained that extra point. And as I said a little while ago, when that tinkle occurred, this was the last round. So let me give you the final score. Russell Tovey, who's never played the game before, came...
Last.
last. He actually didn't come last, he came in fourth place.
Which is 5 people, he would have come 5th.
Stephen, who does so well, usually, came in third place. But out in the lead, 2 points ahead of Julian Clary, was Paul Merton. So we say, Paul, you are the winner today.
You were right, I didn't realise.
At the end of the remains, we say, final thank you. These 4 fine players of the game. So from this delightful audience here in Television Centre, and from me, Nicholas Parsons, and this wonderful team, goodbye, thank you, and do join us again the next day we play Just a Minute.
There's more comedy with the self-proclaimed show business legend Count Arthur Strong, who somehow manages to convince himself he's with the Knights of the Round Table. That's starting on BBC Radio 4 now. We're with the Eggheads here on BBC 2 next.